Today, we're going over the costs to own a 250 GTO if it was built today. Now, obviously, it's one of the most expensive cars in the world, trading for roughly 50 to 60 million US dollars. But if they made it today, contrary to inflation, how much would it be worth now? So today, we're going to go over the purebred Ferrari, better known as the 250 GTO. There were only very few made in the early 60s. They were purebred race cars, and everyone's love for them has just grown and grown over the years. So, back then they were expensive, but compared to today, are they a bargain? So what would it cost to buy a brand new Ferrari 250 GTO if it was sold today? And more importantly, how much would it cost to run and own one? So let's get into it. So imagine walking into a Ferrari dealership today and saying, yes, I want to order a brand new 250 GTO. Well, back in the day when it was launched in 1962, it would actually cost $18,000 for a 250 GTO, which at the time, with the conversion rates at the time, that would have only been £6,500. But if we adjust for inflation, that would be £150,000 today, which is still a lot of money. But think about it, it's nowhere near the 40 to 55 million these cars sell for at auction. But in reality, when someone's buying this car, they're not just buying a Ferrari, they're buying one of the most expensive cars ever made. But say you did walk into the showroom and you bought it off the showroom floor. Well, how much would it cost to run? Well, first of all, we're going to look at that race-derived engine. So if you pulled up at a petrol station, that 250 GTO has a 3-litre V12 engine, producing only 300 horsepower, which by modern standards is pretty low, but at the time, it was an absolute weapon. Further to that, well, it's not going to be very fuel efficient, with an estimated 10 to 12 miles per gallon on a fuel tank of 100 litres, which means you'd be stopping for fuel pretty frequently. But let's do the math. An average cost of super unleaded in the UK is roughly £1.65 a litre, so a full tank would cost £165. But since the GTO burns fuel like a race car, expect to be filling it every 250 miles to 300 miles. So, if you decided to use this annually like a normal car, this would cost you easily over £6,000 a year in fuel. Now, road tax. Obviously, we're looking at this being a car that's released in nowadays. So, any car over £40,000 comes into the luxury car tax situation. Well, this car, £165,000, would definitely fit into that. And we'd be looking at the highest maximum for that, which is about £2,605 per year. And that would only be for the first year, and I believe it then trails off. Likely after that point, you would be looking at about £700 a year road tax. But we're thinking of buying it new, so we're only covering the first month. Realistically though, if this was a car of that value and there wasn't a price cap, you'd actually be looking at £250,000 per year on this. But luckily, if you own one, well, I know you're not short for money, but you don't pay any road tax because it's classed as a classic car and it's tax exempt. So really, there's one benefit of owning a 250 GTO. Moving in is insurance. So we're going to look at this in two different ways. First of all, you would definitely struggle to find someone that's going to insure the £50 million one. Therefore, you would probably have to go through Ferrari agents and, well, to be honest, you'd probably have to jump through some hoops. It would be pretty wild. Classic car insurance does exist, but it can be ridiculous. And a rough estimate for a car like this could well be £400,000 to £800,000 per year just for insurance. Some owners don't even drive their cars. They lock them away in climate-controlled vaults to protect their investment. But as I said, we're talking about a new car. So say it was £160,000, which is roughly what a 458 Italia would have cost new. Well, there's one of those in the garage and it ends up, that costs £575 per year for insurance for myself. So if we just chuck that in on the numbers, and we'll come back to that at the end. Here's where things get a little bit more expensive and well and truly become a millionaire's nightmare, or in fact, with the 250 GTO, a billionaire's nightmare. Mechanics have to carefully work on these 250 GTOs, and unlike modern Ferraris, you can't just take them to any dealership. These cars require specialist mechanics that can work on a 60-year-old racing V12. Further to this, the fact that those parts are all handmade, so don't expect to buy anything off a shelf. When it comes to the actual work that you do on the vehicle, well, a single oil change could cost £2,500, brake work, that could cost £8,000 plus, and major engine work could be easily £80,000 or more. Since parts are rare and have to be custom made, it means prices skyrocket and they can charge whatever they like because you're not getting it anywhere else. Unless you know of a Breakers 250 GTO, but I think that would go for what, 20 million? So is it worth it? Would it be worth buying a 250 GTO, one of the most expensive cars on the planet, brand new? Well, the answer is yes. If you knew something like this was going to come out, well, it's the Holy Grail. You'd be able to purchase it, run it, drive it, and make probably 40 million in the time that you own it. But obviously, the reason the original car is worth so much is the value, the pedigree, the heritage, and the fact that there's only so few of them. So I know this video is a bit in jest saying, well, if it came out now, what would it cost to own? But realistically, at the time, they were the Ferrari at the time. So they were the car that you could get easily serviced, easily maintained, and well, you could enjoy it through and through. The issue that's now happened is because they are so rare and the values have pushed so high, people don't use them. They end up sitting in garages or vaults and investments. So that's why people are coming out with almost one-to-one twins, because these cars deserve to be used, but no one can afford to. So by creating something that's a perfect like for like, you get that same experience for, well, a fraction of the cost. And those start around, I believe, 500,000 to £1 million. So what am I saying? Well, the costs are outrageous, and for someone that can afford it, well, money doesn't matter. But how incredible would it be if we saw a resurgence of some form of this car come back to modern day? And well, hopefully they'd make it a lot cheaper to run, a lot cheaper to insure, and well, hopefully the tax wouldn't be as high as I spoke. So I know this video is a little bit in jest, but that's the numbers. That's how much it would cost to own a 250 GTO if they made it new as of today. So let me know in the comments, would you buy one? Because, I mean, I think I would beg and borrow to get to that money. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.